Hello guys, welcome back. I'm kind of on a roll. I've been kind of blessed by the universe, so I'm going to kind of do this like I'm doing it. Well, it's technically Friday morning. It's almost 2 a.m. This is how I'm up to 7 in the morning. But the simplest way to say this, and I was trying to make this video yesterday and never really could get my head around it. Don't pray for something, whether you're praying to Loki, Jesus, Buddha, I don't care. Don't pray for something and then get mad when you get an answer. Okay? You know, for years I've been open, and for years I've told you, if I think I need to pray to Jesus or God or whatever, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that because that's how I was brought up. And it's not ignorance, and it's not look at me doing stuff my way. It's just it feels right to me. It feels natural. That's how I'm built. And I've been praying to God recently, and I've been saying, I want a sign. I want a sign. My Pinterest has been getting flooded off. I'm like, okay. Jehovah Witnesses left a pamphlet in my door yesterday, and I got so excited I like took it and threw it out. And not that it was a Jehovah Witness thing, but I don't appreciate people coming and sticking their religion in my front door. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Lord, but I'm not going to become a Jehovah's Witness. And it wasn't God calling, but God was like, hey, you literally wanted an answer. Here are 5,000 pins, and here's a Jehovah Witness. And Loki's like, "What? Why are you excited lately?" I'm like, "I've been praying to God, and God's been answering, and Jesus has been answering, and I don't know what to do with myself." And the universe keeps answering. I was watching this comedian tonight, Christian comedian, deaf lady, and she would have been entertaining at the time I was Christian, but we didn't have YouTube back then. We were deprived. We were so deprived, so I never got to see her. And she talks about her life, and a lot of what she went through, I went through too, because you see, I'm sight impaired, among other things. And they thought I was retarded. They thought she was retarded too. They didn't realize she was deaf. They didn't realize how bad my vision was. Most people still don't. I tell people, as an example, that if I stand up, I got 50-50 odds telling you what an object at my feet is. I can't do it. If I would be at a four-way stop when people were insisting, my family would insist, oh, you have to be able to drive. How are you going to take care of yourself? I couldn't see any of the other drivers. I couldn't read signs as I was driving. I couldn't parallel park because I lacked depth perception as well. So, I had all these things against me, and it was like, it is not safe for me to get behind the wheel of a couple 1,000-pound vehicle. Plus, best thing of all, I start to fall asleep as I drive, so I would be driving like that, just out like a light. So I can't drive. But, my family would insist. And it's just one of those things I can't do. And lately, I've been talking to God. I'm saying, why did I come out like this? Why can't I drive? Why can't I drive? Why aren't I healthy? Why aren't I this? Why aren't I that? So God's like, okay, here's this deaf comedian. Now cry me a river. And the deaf comedian met a quadriplegic that wrote 2 books by blinking with one eye. This is not a joke. She wrote 2 books. They got her this keyboard, and she would see the letter she wanted, and she would like wink her eye, and it would type that letter. And she did 2 books worth of this at the time she met the comedian. And the deaf comedian, she's very honest. She said she was honest with her. She said she walked into the green room and she saw her. And she said she thought, what kind of life does that woman have? Here she is, deaf. And what kind of life does that woman have? And, they ended up hitting her off. And, they were using comedy because she is a comedian. And she talked about, a lot of stuff that went on in her life. And she was not, until her 30s, did she ever get a proper hearing test, and did anybody ever really explain her kind of deafness, because it's not just one kind of deafness. They're like profoundly deaf. There's like deaf to certain tones and ranges and everything. And the guy that did her hearing test, he actually drug her back in because she ran out of the room crying because she remembered how humiliating it was as a child to have these huge battery packs on her and, these huge hearing aids and everything. And he explained to her, he goes, well, honey, You can't hear on the phone because you just can't hear that. And you can't hear this because you can't hear music. And he pointed out to her, he pointed out the exact kind of deafness she had. No, she could hear like a little bit of stuff. But he goes, hey, this is okay. And she goes, I'm not stupid. He goes, no, baby. She goes, I'm not retarded. He goes, no. He goes, you literally can't hear these things. He goes, but it's okay. We have the kind of hearing aids now. We'll get you fixed up. We'll make your hearing like normal. So, they got her fixed up and she went outside and like the first thing she heard was traffic. And she goes, God, is that annoying? She hadn't heard it her whole life. And as she was learning to hear, she's running around because, it's not like we were born, if you were born being able to hear, you learned how to locate sound eventually. And she didn't know where any of the sound was coming from. So she had to learn like a little kid. She said it was fun. It was like being a little kid. She would hear a bird chirp and she'd have to look around. She wouldn't know where it was coming from. And I'm like, I've got the hearing, even though I'm starting to lose it a little bit as I'm getting older. I've got the hearing, but I don't have the vision. People will say, do you see that? And I'm like, yeah, as a low vision person, I've just learned to agree with you. Yeah, I see that bullshit that I couldn't possibly see. How many times have I explained to you what I can't see? But yeah, sure, 200 yards away, I see it because I'm suddenly a sharpshooter. Do you see that over there? Sure, I see it. And I just go along with it because you can't explain low vision to people. And she's found it hard to, explain being deaf to people. And it was kind of God answering me. And I know that's like, there are people going, unsub, unsub, unsub. But Loki's gone, like, why are you so nervous lately? I said, well, we've never made a secret of me saying I will pray to God or I will pray to, Jesus or whatever. But I said, all my life I try to fit into other people's labels. You're growing up Catholic, you're trying to be the best Catholic ever. Fighting all the stuff you are that's not Catholic. I am not Catholic. I don't consider myself Catholic. I may be very tired and loogy and say I'm Catholic, but I don't consider myself Catholic. I find the vast history of the church to be irreprehensible. Don't agree with anything they do, especially not supporting the gay community, being gay myself. So no, I'm not Catholic. The religion I don't care for. But, God, Jesus, angels, saints, I don't have a problem with. And I said, I guess I've tried all my life to fit every label that people put on me. Like when I was in school, they thought I was either gifted or retarded. They weren't sure. And it's funny now, but it wasn't funny back then. And the whole time I was going through school, they thought I was borderline retarded because people refused to believe I can't see worth shit. I can't. I don't have a big screen because I'm in love with myself. I can't fucking see worth shit. That's why the screen's so big and that's why everything's magnified. And if you don't have a disability, some people choose not to believe you can have a disability that bad. No, I'm not the worst some doctors have seen, though I've had doctors say, under fascination, how can you see? I say, I don't know. How do you see? I said, if you would let me see normal for one day, I probably wouldn't fucking know what to do with it. I'm used to, how I can see. And it's one of those things. And my whole life I try to fit the labels other people put on me. And, as I left Christianity, you go into Wicca, because Wicca New Age, that was the only landing pad we had at the time. And I never really fit in there. I agree with some of the principles. I like this whole mother, goddess, father, God thing. But I didn't agree with a lot of it. But that was all I had. That was the best I had. So I tried to go along with that. And I tried to be a Wiccan. And I was no longer this thing. And at the time I came over, there was none of this Christo Wicca. It was you were one camp or the other. And it was not having fun times. And then the Voodoo Law started calling me. And then I was doing that. And you have to give up all this Wicca BS. You can't. Actually, the Loa don't give two shits, but if you're going to talk to somebody that's traditionally practicing Voodoo, A lot aren't going to be happy. It's changed recently. I told Loki, I said, God must laugh at me because I have the worst timing. 4 to 10 years after I leave a religion or leave a practice, that's when it's suddenly open. I said, why didn't all this shit happen during my time? Like, had the Catholic Church accepted gay people and been open to pagans like the UU Church is, I'd still be a Catholic. We wouldn't have this channel. Had Wicca been more open, I'd still be Wiccan. Had Voodoo been more open, I'd still be Voodoo. And then the Norse gods showed up, and I was like, shit. Because I didn't want to move anymore. I was tired. I already had spiritual whiplash, and I would tell Baron, I would say, I'm already going to hell in 3 religions. And he'd go, now funny. And the Norse pantheon wouldn't go away. And then Loki decided the Greek gods had to come back. And then we had the International House of Awesome for a while. And, there was a side trip with Santa for a couple years there. And there's been all this stuff in my life. And Loki says, you pay attention to this as I'm watching this comedian. He's like, maybe God sent it, maybe the universe sent it, maybe I sent it, maybe Odin sent it. But you watch this. And she talked about, she finally realized she had to say, how dare you put labels on me, and how dare you tell me how to be, and how dare I accept it. And I'm like, yeah, you roar, sister. I'm like, oh, I should be applying that to myself. And we've talked about it, but I've also told you guys the only book I'd recommend to anyone, and some people might read it and think it's total garbage and think, why would you recommend that, is Women Who Run with Wolves. And I don't care what your gender is or if you even have one. I think it's very good because it talks about the cycles of healing we go through. You think, oh, I've mastered this shit. 4 years later, you're dealing with it again. Kind of like an election. Please save me. Anyhow, look, he's having flashbacks back here. And it's just a thing. Eventually, you have to figure out how to reset to how you are, and that's why Erwin was coming through. And I know my Welsh is terrible. I apologize. And he was like, you just have to reset. You have to be you. He goes, do you think we really care? And Pirate Captain Foxy's starting to come out. It's 2 a.m. and I'm tired. I'm sorry. He goes, do you think we care who you worship and who you talk to? He goes, yeah, Odin's greedy old Odin. But other than that, he says, do you think we care? And Odin's not so much greedy. He's just fiercely loyal to his people. He's fiercely loyal and devoted. I'm not crying, you're crying. To a point I've never seen in any god except for Loki. They all love us, don't get me wrong, but those two have just grafted themselves to my sides, and they're my number 1 and my number 2, or both number 1. We've gone for this discussion before. And they're just grafted to me. And I can worship anyone I want, as long as I remember it's always Odin, always Loki with me. And as I'm listening to this comedian, she talks about, she had a near-death experience, and she talks about God. And she describes God. And God is this tall old man dressed in gray with a long white beard walking down the beach to her. I'm like, holy shit, that's Odin. And because he's always told me, because he's appeared to me with 2 eyes and 1 eye. Sometimes no eyes because he's a smart ass. And I love him. And he's told me that's the appearance is the easiest thing for God to fake. I mean, they're a god, we're not. It's the easiest thing for them to fake. 1,000 years from now, people might not know that story anymore about, the one-eyed wanderer. They might wonder what we're talking about. And Odin will never give you the straight deal. And he'll say metaphor one day, and he'll say 2 eyes one day, and he'll say 1 eye one day. He'll cry to you one day and tell you he has no eyes and such a shame, and all the other gods make fun of him. But I'm like, that sounds like Odin. But to her, it was God. And I'm like, I'm not going to correct her because, she finally got her business straight with God. And so it's a roundabout way to say, you don't have to get it perfect. That's what Erwin was trying to get home. He's like, you don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to get it figured out. The Norse gods get this schedule. The Greek gods get this schedule. Little tiny Welsh contingent gets this schedule. Ireland gets this schedule. He says, you don't have to do this. Jesus gets this day. God gets that day. He goes, you don't have to do this. Just be free and easy and natural. We'll come around when we want to come around. we're not going to abandon you because today is Loki Day and tomorrow's Loki Day, and Loki also wants this day as well. He goes, we all know how, Loki and Odin are grafted to me like barnacles. He goes, that's fine. The rest of us aren't as worried. Do I have any drink left? One sip. A tiny wee sip, too. And, so it's really good. And he was like, if you are just who you are, if you are who you are naturally, it takes zero effort. It doesn't take any effort to be me, the natural me, to worship the way I naturally want. And labels don't help with it. Labels on the channel because, we're humans, we work with labels. Wicca, I have often said, is the closest thing to who I am because I'm not going to stab you to death in your sleep, and I'm not going to put a curse on you because that shit can boomerang. I'm not, it's not like, oh, she's the nicest person in the world. It's like, no, that shit can backfire. If you've ever had magic backfire on you, you're like, yeah, I'm not messing with that stuff. So, I hear laughter back there. It's just one of those things, and hopefully enough of you will stick around, but that felt timely. We can waste our whole life trying to live up to being a good Christian, being a good heathen, being a good Jew, being a good, I don't know, atheist, whatever you are. And labels don't always help. And it does not help to let other people come up to you and go, well, I don't agree with you. Here's what you really are. Fuck them. It's this channel. Fuck them. You don't have to let them live your life. And there's always going to be people that are going to come up to you and go like this and tell you, no, this is what you are, and I know. They don't know shit. Look, he's like, these videos always start so inspirationally, and then your mouth, damn it. So, sometimes there's no other way to say it. And yes, I do have a degree. I never use it, but I do have a degree. So, sometimes people are going to try to run your life for you, but you don't have to let them. And I'm getting laughter back there. He's like, your mouth. I don't think I could do a video without swearing at this point in my life. I don't know. I'm a lost cause. Anyhow, you don't have to let people run your life. You don't have to keep changing every 5 minutes, because if you change to please everybody, you're never going to be yourself. And these aren't the people that, I don't know what happens when we die, but if we do have to give an accounting to the gods, these aren't the people that are going to have to do it. And you just standing there and going, well, you don't understand. All these people kept walking up to me and telling me, well, you're this and you're this or not. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you. So, as far as you know, outside of reincarnation, you've got this one life, so live it. Something inspirational. It's past 2 a.m. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.